I told his friends he's bad in the bedroom. What he told my friends was worse. I can't believe that I would be one of the persons that would be sharing my sad story on the internet with strangers to make myself feel better. I always read about these stories over the internet and felt that this was not something that could ever happen to me. Now that it's happening to me, I can completely relate with how people feel when they are abandoned by someone they love and trust. So here I am doing something unimaginable and trying to make sense of everything that has been happening in my life lately. My name is Veronica, female 29, married to Ronnie, male 32, over more than 2 years. We both met at a baseball game where I was cheering for my then boyfriend who was on one of the teams playing that day. I secretly found out that my boyfriend was going to propose to me after the game, so I was more excited and hyped up for it. As the game came to an end, I started preparing myself for the proposal, but I was shocked when my boyfriend proposed to my friend instead of me. I was bawling and crying my eyes out in the parking lot when Ronnie confronted me and tried to console me. I guess that was the moment I fell for him. We both started dating each other after about a week. It took us less than a month to realize that we were meant for each other. We decided to get married after only 3 months of dating. Our connection was undeniable, and we knew we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. We didn't see the need to wait any longer before making that commitment. I knew that Ronnie loved baseball and followed every game passionately. Since the day I was ditched by my boyfriend, I never saw any game and never even wanted to watch any game. Ronnie knew that and understood it very well, so he never insisted that I watch it or give him company. I was very grateful to him for it. Ronnie started this new trend of watching the game with his friends. Each friend got turned to host the baseball nights at their place. Initially, it was all nice, and I was happy that he got company. Very soon, it turned out to be a nuisance as the boys would show up for the game at Ronnie's turn, which came like every month. It became overwhelming having people over all the time, especially when I just wanted to relax. I eventually had to talk to Ronnie about setting some boundaries for when his friends could come over. Ronnie's friends were coming over to see the baseball game at our place. This was not the only problem between us. While I loved Ronnie and his personality, I found him severely lacking in the bedroom department. I knew he did his best. He even always insisted on my pleasure rather than his own. But I don't know, whenever I compared him to my ex, he couldn't compete. I was already annoyed at him for not being able to satisfy me, and then I had to also cater to him and his friends as well. I tried to remain calm and remind myself that Ronnie was my partner, but the frustration was building up inside me. I decided to speak with him about setting boundaries for unexpected gatherings in the future. It all went downhill a few weeks ago when I was trying to sleep after getting drunk with my friends at a brunch. I tried to sleep, but the boys were making it too difficult as they were watching the game on the TV. I thought that maybe sleeping would help me in reducing my hangover and help me remain calm. Their overenthusiasm for the game was ruining my quiet and peaceful day at home. I could not take it anymore, so I decided to take matters in my own hands and resolve this once and for all. I barged into the living area where the game was played at an inhuman volume. I grabbed the remote and shut the television. Everyone was staring at me in disbelief. I looked at all of them and saw Ronnie walk towards me demanding the remote. I told him that I had had enough of him and his friends and wanted some peace. He told me that it was his house and he could do what he wanted. I clarified that since I was his wife, it belonged to me as well. It was turning into a heated argument when I blurted out that first, he does not do anything to satisfy me in bed, and second, he gets his friends over to ruin my day off. I can't take more shit from him. I could hear all his friends gasp at my statement. The tension in the room was palpable as I stood my ground, refusing to back down. It was clear that things would never be the same between us after this confrontation. The look of shock on his face was priceless, but I knew I had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. As I stormed out of the room, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief mixed with sadness at the inevitable end of our relationship, and his friend had left to give us some privacy so that we could sort things out between us. I knew that things were only going to go south from now on. He asked me to repeat what I had just told in front of his friends so that we could discuss the same. I told him that it was the truth that I feel unsatisfied by him, and the thought of keeping it to myself was building up the tension and distance between us. He always having his friends over was not helping as the distance was growing. My frustration kept on building, and today it reached the peak, and all the things that I was trying to keep to myself came out of my mouth. Ronnie just listened to me without interrupting and told me that he understood what I was trying to say. He did not get angry or scream or try to have an argument. He agreed with me and said that he would give me my space to cool down. It was very unexpected, as I was hoping that he would try to defend himself and things would be blown out of proportion. Surprisingly, nothing of that sort happened, and the argument ended on a friendly note. Ronnie told me that he would be busy over this weekend at work, so he asked me to call someone over and not spend my weekend alone. I never knew Ronnie could be that thoughtful. I told him that all I was planning to do was just relax at home and do nothing. He told me that I could do that, or I could also call my friends. I thought it was a good idea to spend some time with my friends over the weekend. I called my friends over as I wanted Ronnie to think that I valued his advice and would even listen to it if it made sense. I was kind of sure that Ronnie wouldn't be getting his friends to our place anymore. He had become a completely different person and was more accepting towards what I had to say. Ronnie was home on the weekend and all that his work had canceled, and so he had nowhere to go. I told him that I had already made plans with my friends who would be coming over. I was happy to cancel them if he wanted us to spend some time together. He told me that it was okay and he would not mind if I would have some good time with my friends. Ronnie being so nice and so understanding was something I wasn't completely used to, but it was slowly sinking in that maybe he could be a decent person. Surprisingly, Ronnie was being a nice host and making an effort to interact with my friends. He was helping me serve my friends and also cracking jokes to make the atmosphere as comfortable as possible. His willingness to go out of his way to make everyone feel welcome truly showed his kindness. I wasn't surprised because that's just how he was. Always kind, always going out of the way for others. We started playing a game of Never Have I Ever, and Ronnie insisted on joining us. Since he was being so good-mannered, I thought that it would be no harm for him to join in some fun. As the game progressed, Ronnie surprised us with some of his wild experiences, making the game even more entertaining. It turned out to be a memorable night filled with laughter and shared. We were actually enjoying the game when Ronnie decided to make a statement. He started sharing wild stories about me letting my friends know how I would seduce his friends that would come over and try to sleep with them. I was quite taken aback by his confession, as I didn't think he knew about it. It happened over a weekend when his friends came over for a baseball match. I was so frustrated with Ronnie that when I found one of his friends smoking on the terrace, I went to have a conversation with him. It's humiliating to admit, but I wore the top to show off my cleavage and then made a move on him by attempting to kiss him, but he refused since I was his friend's wife. However, he promised he won't mention it to Ronnie. Ronnie didn't stop there. He even went ahead to add that I would dress up a little extra sexy when his friends would come over so that one of them would notice and try to hit on me. He was trying to malign my character in front of my friends. It didn't matter if what he said was true. He couldn't assassinate my character like that in front of other people. I did not know how to react as the situation suddenly became awkward for everyone. We all froze when Ronnie announced that he had been unhappy all this while, as he did not know how to handle this situation. It was clear that tensions had been building up, and his confession caught us all off guard. The silence that followed was deafening, as we struggled to process what had just been revealed. I could see the shock on everyone's faces, and I realized that this was a turning point in our relationship with Ronnie. It was evident that things would never be the same after this moment of truth. I never knew that Ronnie had issues with me and was aware of me making a move on his friends. He could have just talked to me instead of telling it out in the open when my friends who had come over. I felt hurt and embarrassed by his behavior, especially in front of others. It made me question our friendship and wonder why he didn't address his concerns with me privately. Communication is key in any relationship, and I wish Ronnie had approached me directly to discuss his concerns rather than airing them out in front of others. After my friends left, I confronted Ronnie and asked him why he had to lie to my friends. He told me that I had belittled him in front of his friends, so I deserved the same. I was taken aback by his response, realizing that our communication issues ran deeper than I had thought. This turned into a major argument between us. I could not believe that Ronnie did not let go of what I had told about him in front of his friends. All these days, he was just trying to fool me by being nice to me so that he could just get back at me. Now I understood that it was his idea that he was being so insistent on me having my friends over, so that he could insult me the same way I did to him in front of my friends. All this act that he had been trying to put up all these weeks was just to get back at me. I could never imagine Ronnie to be such a petty person. He said all that just because he was angry about something I had said in front of his friends. He also told my friends to keep their husbands away from me, as I would never hesitate to sleep with any of their husbands, even if they showed a little bit of interest in me. That was such a dirty and disgusting thing to say to my friends. What would they think of me? What kind of image was he trying to portray in front of my friends? I did not know if this is the same person who was making each and every effort to keep me happy in our marriage. It was hurtful and confusing to hear such vile accusations from someone who had previously shown care and affection towards me. I couldn't help but question the sincerity of his previous actions and words. We both had a screaming match where we threw digs at each other and told a lot of shit that we did not even realize that we felt about each other. It was clear that we had a lot of built-in resentment for each other that we never knew existed. After the argument, Ronnie told me he needed some time to reflect on our relationship. He wasn't sure if he could even continue it considering my past actions. He asked me to move out that day. I was shocked to say the least, but I had no other option. It was his house after all. He paid the mortgage, and I had never contributed to any household expenses. I didn't hear from Ronnie for over 2 weeks, but then I finally got his call. He told me we were not on the same page and had completely lost all the compatibility that we had over time. He couldn't let go of the disrespect he had faced because of my actions. He said that it was time to part ways and move forward separately. Despite the pain of the situation, it was necessary for our own personal growth and happiness. I couldn't contradict what he said. I was aware I did him wrong, so we both decided to get a divorce with mutual consent. But then I got another shock when I realized that I wouldn't get half his share in all the assets he owned. I mean, how was that even fair? It was the price I had to pay for signing the prenup without even reading the terms of it. So yeah, we got divorced and I didn't get a single penny. Talk about unfairness. I just wanted to share this with you all so that I can have closure and move forward with my life. Thank you all for being so sweet and nice to me. I know that this was something that no one would want to go through, but such is life. I appreciate all the support and understanding I have received during this difficult time. It means a lot to me, and I am grateful for each and every one of you. Let's continue to support each other and grow stronger together. Update. I thought that separating on a friendly note was the biggest downside of my life so far. But what happened after that was something that I never imagined. I could not believe that an argument that started with just a silly statement would lead to the end of our relationship. I was okay with the fact that we were not compatible anymore. I was trying to make peace with it. I wanted to still try and keep a friendly relationship with Ronnie even after the divorce, as I had no resentment towards him. I knew that our time together had come to an end, but I hoped that we could at least part ways amicably. Despite the hurt and disappointment, I wanted to focus on moving forward positively. I thought that I should meet with Ronnie to check on him and see how he was doing. I went to his house with some takeout so that we could discuss how life had changed after our divorce. I knew that he would be at home, probably watching reruns of old baseball matches. I wanted us to catch on how things have been going for us, and maybe also because I had very few friends that I could share my true feelings with. It is better to admit the entire truth here. I went because I was expecting that he would give some allowance for the month like he did when we were married. Ronnie was a generous husband who spoiled me, and now that we were divorced, it was difficult to sustain that lifestyle. I was both excited and looking forward to having a heart-to-heart conversation with Ronnie. I was somewhere even expecting us to connect again and maybe start over. I hoped that our meeting would bring closure to our past and possibly pave the way for a new chapter in our relationship. Despite the uncertainty, I was determined to be open and honest about my feelings. I was having butterflies in my stomach when I was climbing the stairs to reach his place. I saw a delivery guy drop off pizzas at his place, and I had to double down to confirm if what I was seeing was right. I thought that I had seen one of my girlfriends in a bathrobe picking up the pizzas. She was there when our argument went down, which led to mine and Ronnie's divorce. As I got closer, my heart sank as I realized it was indeed her. The sight of her brought back a flood of memories and emotions that I thought I had moved past. I decided to stay calm and confirm it before coming to conclusions. Maybe it was not how I was seeing it. I went over to the window near the kitchen and tried to see what was going on. What I saw was beyond shocking. It was indeed my girlfriend Galen, who was sharing a slice of pizza with Ronnie. They were kissing and laughing while eating pizza. I knew that Gloria was beautiful and single. Heck, she was the prettiest among all my friends. But I didn't expect Ronnie to move on so quickly. As I kept looking at them happy and looking so in love, all the previous conversations and fights between me and Ronnie kept playing in my head. Fights where I would show tantrums to him, and he would still try to make amends even though it wasn't his fault. He would please me with flowers and expensive wine. Now when he replaced me with someone else so quickly, I realized he was never the problem. It was just me. Gosh, how could I let him go? Was I too dumb to easily agree to get divorced? But seeing him with my friend made me so angry. How long has this been going on? I knew that there was no point in having all these questions in my head. I decided to barge in and question both of them about what was going on. I banged on the door nonstop as I was way too furious. Ronnie opened the door, and as I approached them, Ronnie looked at me with calmness, not giving any emotion. My heart sank as I looked at them enjoying each other's company when it should have been me instead of her. I looked at Ronnie with questioning eyes and asked him how he could do this to me. He laughed a bitter laugh and told me that he didn't do anything wrong to me. I was the one who fancied about my ex while being with him. When I looked at him in shock, he told me that he knew I was obsessing over my ex, as he caught me many times trying to call him or stalking his social media account in the weeks before he asked me to move out. He said he got together with Galen after our divorce and I had no right to ask him anything more. He asked me to leave, stating that I was invading his privacy. Feeling a mix of anger and hurt, I turned on my heel and walked away, knowing that this was the end of our relationship. As I left, I couldn't help but wonder how long this betrayal had been going on behind my back. I did not even realize when I had a pool of tears on the floor. I did not know if I could ever come out of this sudden revelation that my ex-husband was with my friend. I looked at both Ronnie and Galen and could see clearly that they were hardly ashamed of what they had been doing. They looked genuinely happy with each other. How could they not feel anything after ruining my life? I was a happily married wife before they decided to screw me over. How could they be so shameless? The betrayal cut deep, leaving me feeling lost and alone. As I struggled to process the situation, I realized that their lack of remorse only added salt to the wound, making it even harder to move on from the devastation they caused. I knew thinking about Ronnie was of no point as we were already divorced, and there was no I was going to get him back. Thinking too much about it would only make me feel unworthy and nothing else. It would only break me further and make it difficult to move on. I needed to focus on my own healing and moving forward, rather than dwelling on the past. It was time to prioritize my own well-being and happiness, and let go of the questions that were causing me unnecessary pain. Today, I am writing all this just to make myself remember that I should not blindly trust anyone. Even friends can betray you in ways that you could never imagine. My friend didn't even think twice before getting in bed with my ex-husband just a few weeks after our divorce. Was there no loyalty left in this world? I know that it would be difficult for me to make new friends and have a relationship going forward. However, I also realize that not everyone is the same, and there are still good people out there worth trusting. I will take this experience as a lesson learned and be more cautious in choosing who to trust in the future. I am not so sure how long this healing process will be, but I am trying my best to have positive thoughts and only think of the positives in my life. I believe that with time and self-reflection, I will be able to overcome this betrayal and move forward stronger than before. It's important to remember that not everyone will hurt us in the same way, and that there are still genuine connections waiting to be made. That's all from my side. Take care, guys, and be cautious before you trust anyone in this world full of snakes.